It's a mailbag here on the Cowboys Report, which means we answer your questions via super chats, live comments, and super thanks. From Wes, what about Christian Jones in the third, and either Jalen Ford or Ryan Watts in the fifth? So that is the Texas right tackle, Texas linebacker, and Texas defensive back. I think Ford in the fifth, I'm very intrigued by. I think that's pretty good value. Christian Jones, I think the third is about the right spot for him. My issue is I don't know if he can play left tackle. So do I want to spend a backup with my third-round pick? I'm not so sure on that front. Now, Wes and other comments come in here from Super Thanks. It's a feature on YouTube. You can do Super Chats on live shows. Super Thanks on demand. You are eligible for all of our extra giveaway stuff when you do Super Thanks as well. Click the thanks icon, edit your message, and we'll give you a shout-out on the show. From Tyler Madden, anyone else want to wait a couple of years for Arch Manning? First off, he's not the only one who's going to this way. I know that for a fact. Here's my concern. Do you want to wait, 2 years, 3 years maybe, whatever, for a guy that's thrown or completed 2 passes? I get it's Manning, and that's intriguing, but we actually have zero evidence that he's good. We have no idea. I have seen great high school quarterbacks come and go. You guys remember Brock Berlin? Remember Jimmy Clausen? All those hype names. I need to see him actually be good before I get there. Now, if you want to tank and prep for a top pick, sure, but I'm not going to lock myself into one guy this early. From Corruption, a.k.a. Afton, if I was an owner of the Dallas Cowboys, I would have sent Dak Prescott packing along with McCarthy right after the wild card round last year. If the Jones family extend Dak, which I doubt it, then trade him. What's the point of keeping a decent overall quarterback when you're not going to extend his bloody contract? I'm sick and tired of losing the wild card round in the divisional round. In my opinion, send Dak to the Bears for a first overall pick and take Caleb Williams. My issue here is you're not making a decision, right? And he's saying the exact same thing. Either extend him and go for it, or rebuild. This middle ground is dumb. It does nothing for me. Pick a path. Now, you're not trading for Caleb Williams and the Bears. The Bears, that number 1 overall pick, there's too much value there. It's kind of like, there's value in knowing what you're getting for Christmas, but come Christmas morning, you want to open up the present. You don't get that value if they give you the present on December 21st. It's just not the same boost to your franchise that team needs, frankly. From Bryce, I'm too poor to go to a Cowboys game, but if I were there, I'd run a group of disgruntled fans and boo the owner and his sidekick the whole game. We're mad at ownership. Also from Rob, thanks. Who'd have thought the Cowboys would do worse in the offseason than they were in the playoffs? We are once again mad at ownership. And I don't blame anybody. They have not been that far away. And their decision is to just kind of let themselves get a little bit worse. I hate it. So you can be honest here. I know what the votes are going to be. Grade the Cowboys offseason. A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments section. The pinned comment of today's show. Gangsta Big Chungus. Dak to the Hawks for Walker III without a trade clause. To be quite honest, I hate the idea of trading a top 10 quarterback for a maybe top 10 running back. That's all I'm getting? That's it? Seattle says, yeah, where do I sign? You want Geno too? Want Sam Howell in there? By the way, I do think Seattle's a very possible destination next year for Dak. It wouldn't shock me. For Mark, Brother Tom, what solid players do you think will be released after June 1st to us to nab? I think we have no money. Jerry Jones is GM of the year. I don't think anybody. At least not many. Maybe a team drafts somebody and then they cut somebody else. But the June 1st designation can and has been used on players already. And those guys can sign whenever. If the Cowboys think they're going to get a sudden influx of free agent talent after June 1st, they're going to be disappointed. From Carter, will the Cowboys trade down for 2025 picks? I wouldn't be overly shocked if they traded down. I don't think they will necessarily move down for 2025 selections. Now, if they do that, it's the most obvious sign they are punting and rebuilding. even if they're doing a pretty bad job of it in the process. I don't think they're going to do that. I think a trade down to get that 4th-round pick back and a 3rd-round pick, that I could see happening. So do you want the Cowboys to trade down? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments section. $5 from Mark. ESPN reports Oprah, Lizzo, and Joy Bear are starting for tackles. JJ and Steven as dual GMs of the year. Randy White will also partake in the defensive tackle position. Okay, but hear me out on Randy White. Just hear me out on it. Kidding, of course. Steven GX, 3 things with the draft sims. Number 1, Jackson Powers Johnson is table at 24. 2 is smart trade downs. Get 4 to 7 top 100 picks. You could fill needed positions in depth and in the draft. So I will say, be careful with the draft sims. Sometimes their trade packages just get out of control. And I think the draft sims, a lot of the coding has been, well, we'll increase the general range on the trade offers when there's not as big of a range. I do think JPJ could be there at 24. He might not be a Cowboy anyway. Medical concerns on Jackson Powers Johnson, hip issues being whispered and rumored about there. So got to vet the medical. But you can get more. You can get a 4th top 100 pick. That's absolutely doable. And maybe even 5, depending on how you do trade down. Chris B, I keep hearing about the 2025 Cup and how they will be strapped. Means in their offseason doing absolutely nothing again. This franchise sucks over it. Here's the thing. They're not even capped. When it's all, they'll have about $100 million in cap space. Seriously, they're going to have that much money. Like when they get to week 1, they're going to be just like $97 million in cap space. They're going to be fine. They have a bunch of dead money, sure. That doesn't matter when they're paying nobody. They have no big contracts in the books. It's Trayvon Diggs. That's basically it. That's it. And yeah, you want to pay Lamb and Dak and Micah, allegedly Dak and Micah. Okay. You have moved off of your big contracts already. Like, they are using that as an excuse. And frankly, I would say lie. They're not being honest about their 2025 cap. They're fine. They're in good shape. They have the 3rd most players under contract. I know that is what the team is saying, that they are anxious about the 2025 salary cap space, that, oh man, we're going to be in trouble. Like, we're very, very nervous about it. Why? They are currently, and this number will change, they are projected in this, I'm looking at, let me do over the cap. Over the cap to have some better numbers than Spotrac, whatever. So excuse me as I scramble and pull it up here. You're looking at, for 2025, they are currently 6th most salary cap space. $100 million. And by the way, they've got top 10 most players under contract. They're in good shape. Like, yeah, they got a bunch of dead money, and that number might rise, and probably will rise, but like they're not hurting. Like they're fine. They are lying about it. Now, today's show is made possible by GameTime. GameTime is the place for last-minute tickets, all-in prices, killer last-minute deals, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Simply put, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Go to GameTime.co. Use promo code ChatSports to get $20 off your first ticket. That can be used on a concert, can be used on MLB games. For example, by the way, when you're looking for tickets, keep an eye on the zone deals. Zone deals, I think, are the best thing GameTime offers beyond being able to sit in your seat and move around like a cool live photo. You pick a section. GameTime picks the seats for big-time savings in the process, plus $20 off to use on maybe a cheaper Rangers game that's not as expensive as opening day was. Download the GameTime app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, all guaranteed. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. $5 from Mark. College QB, 2 ACLs, was a top 5 pick. Looked good in this testing. We drafted him 24th there. I'm 95% sure you mean Michael Penix out of Washington. Couple notes here. He did look good in his testing. You might have seen 4.46. He didn't run 4.46. He didn't. Ran a good time. Was better than people thought it was going to be. It wasn't like 4.7 or 4.8. The 4.46 number was not right. It was not what he actually ran. The scouts to hand times were was off on that one because it was I know the guy. He should not be trying to hand time. We did not prepare for that. Did have 2 torn ACLs. Was never a top 5 pick though. He had a great year for Washington. I have a second late-ish round grade on him. I think as a pure passer, Penix is probably one of the best quarterback draft prospects. However, he didn't run in college. He tested well. He was never a mobile quarterback, and he tends to struggle under some pressure and moves off of his spot. Like when the first guy's not there, he's got to avoid rushes. He's not very good. The overall mobility and pocket presence worries me. And I think in the modern NFL, you need to have that. So between the injuries and that, I'm not taking him in round 1. Plus, there's this part too. Dak's not your guy. You will have a new head coach next year. Maybe you don't want to tie the quarterback to that new head coach and force that path as well. For Marvin, would the Cowboys go receiver in round 1? There is a scenario where the best player on the Cowboys board is a wide receiver. But it's a question of, can they afford that luxury? Can they afford to say, you know what, we're going to do it. We're going to take the best player, even though he's not going to be as impactful in year 1. I don't know. All things being equal, what position would you like the Dallas Cowboys to draft in round 1? Sound off for me in the comments section right now. From Tony, keep up the good work, Tom. Go Cowboys. I appreciate that, Tony. Thank you very much. From Food Review, what would be the Nakobe Dean level slide that Dallas or any team with their 3rd rounder can get? That's a good question. The issue you tend to run into here is those guys tend to slide because of injury concerns. Sometimes injury concerns we did not even know about. Nakobe Dean, Darnell Washington. So, maybe somebody's medicals pop up like that and it causes them to slide down. Kool-Aid McKinstry had the foot stuff. I love him as a prospect, but the foot stuff has to be verified with the Jones fracture. Peyton Wilson stands out to me. Now, we know about his medical. Double-digit surgeries, pre-draft visit for Dallas, by the way, but I think is the most talented linebacker in this year's class. Do you trust the medicals? So, honestly, Food Review, come back to me after the top 40 picks, and I'll have a great answer for you on that. We got free Cowboys videos every single day right here on the channel. Sound off, or make sure you're subbed so you can sound off in the future. Chris B., my fear is they reach for an offensive tackle in round 1, the Yale kid. I'll probably jump if they do that. I'm all in with my toaster in the bathtub. That is Karan. Let me make sure I get the pronunciation here. Karan Amagaji. I think that's how it's pronounced. I have a 3rd round grade on him. So I don't see 1st round profile at all. Finally, from Tyler, if Dallas were to draft a wide receiver, would you want a smaller, speedy slot or a bigger body outside? Can you give me realistic options? Marcus Roseme saying Jackson Saint, that's the Georgia kid. Bub Means from Pitt, Jalen Coker. It's good names. If you're looking for kind of a later round wide receiver, which is kind of what you're mentioning there, I'm open to either. I find the big fast guy always good, which kind of fits Bub Means' profile a little bit. Big fast guy, I think could be there on day 3. Jalen Coker, tested pretty decently. Does in a good receiver class, does a Jamari Thrash somehow Javon Baker get to you at the back end of the 3rd round, or maybe Baker makes more sense there? I would like I'd like some speed. How about this? My answer is both, but speed. I don't want a big, slow guy on the outside. I've had those guys. I'm good. I have those guys even. Give me a fast guy, small or big.